if I could understand that one and write a book, I'd be a millionaire. First of all, there's some general patterns, but I've seen exceptions. I've worked as a mediator for 33 years, and I've seen both men and women behave with these different patterns. But as a general rule, I would say this. Number one, we know that the female brain is wired differently than the male brain. And part of that has to do with just before a baby is born, in a male, the fetus, actually in the womb, the brain is bathed in a huge dose of testosterone, and it actually pulls the two hemispheres apart and actually severs millions of neurons between the two brain halves. Men literally are brain damaged. And it affects how we can transfer information back and forth between the two spheres. Now, one of the outcomes of that is that men, like me, tend to be very project-oriented. My wife calls me, I'm in a box. So I'll be focusing on a project, totally intensely involved in it. My wife will come up and say, remember, we've got that dinner date tonight at 5. I go, fine. I haven't heard her. I'm in my box. And it can create no end of problems. Men tend to focus and really deal with things very intensely, whereas my wife is an incredible multitasker. And women in general are better at multitasking than men are. Women also feel emotions more intensely. If you had a group of men and women in a room, gave them a piece of paper, asked them to write down as many emotional words as they can, on average, women will write twice as many words as men. They're just much more aware of emotions, much more concerned about emotions, etc. Another factor, at least in the United States, and I think this may be common in other places, we tend to foster the image of men being in control, being rational, not being emotional. And so even with little boys, when they get hurt or upset, we want to right away say, big boys don't cry. Stuff those emotions. And so from a very young age, a lot of men are told that they're not supposed to experience or express or dwell on emotions. We pay a big price for that later on, because in marriage, as I've done about 600 divorce mediations, one of the most common complaints I hear from women is there's no emotional connection. We confuse the romantic sexual attraction of an early relationship with an emotional connection, but when that begins to dissipate and marriage goes on, many women say there's no emotional connection with their husband because we haven't taught men how to understand their emotions, how to engage their emotions, how to engage and understand their wives. So the good news is, though, we can learn to do that. Even at 50 or 60 years old, men can learn how to deal with emotions.